Welcome to Tea Time with Danica. And today's tea is kind of, I don't know, it is going to go weird places because earlier this week I had some ideas of what I wanted to talk about, and then I forgot, and then I remembered, and then I was sitting here earlier and I thought, oh, I have something else I want to do. So today's tea is all about what easy looks like and how, last week I was talking about our resistance and our triggers. And one of the things that I have been learning through my RIM training is as well as through going to my chiropractor. So I see a network chiropractor, and that's different from a regular chiropractor in that instead of like cracking your back, like they just press just little pushes like that to like stimulate your nerves and to get your nervous system talking to itself and like the different parts and getting them working together. And I feel like that's really in alignment with RIM training because it is about going to the places inside you emotionally where your body is ready to release things, and it's ready to go there to those darker, harder places and the emotional places that you didn't think you were ready for. And so it's really interesting because I think that we forget that sometimes you do need an easy button, and sometimes the easy wins are the best wins. And so today's tea, first of all, I am drinking from my beloved MFP mug. That stands for Mr. Fizzle Pop. And this is from my friend Jill Cooper and her book. She's got this character, MFP. He's a cat. He calls everyone asshole, all humans assholes. This says, feed me, asshole. And the other one is, asshole, I need coffee. Wise words of Mr. Fizzle Pop. And I just love him. I seriously binge read all of her Mr. Fizzle Pop books. Supposedly she's doing a Kickstarter. Once that happens, for all the Mr. Fizzle Pop joy, I'm getting it. But anyway, the reason I'm doing it is this week has been a doozy. It really was kind of this week of nothing going right, everything being super, super hard. And I was starting to have some weird tummy troubles. I couldn't figure out what was going on. And one of my favorite drinks, it's kind of a tea. Again, we discussed like tea, not tea. It's not really a tea, but it's a tea in my opinion. It's still a warm tea-like drink. And so it is these ginger crystal things. You get them at Asian grocery stores, or at least that's where I get them. And I really love it because basically it's just like this powder. You add some hot water, and boom, you have this drink. And this one is ginger lemon. I actually had to get more the other day because I ran out and I wanted to try the ginger lemon. Usually I just do straight ginger. But it's so nice because like instantly, rather than having to make this, like go through this whole production of making ginger tea, which I do and I know how to do. And yes, I can like peel and slice the ginger and boil the ginger and all of that stuff to make a really delicious ginger tea. But it's also nice sometimes to just have that easy button and do the easy thing and go for that easy win. And when you're not feeling good, you don't want to make your own ginger tea. It's nice to just have this ready-made, boom, hot water, and done. And so that's what I decided to make today, mostly because I am in the middle of a giant project that was kind of an accident, but not really. So when I left my ex, I only had a couple days to get my stuff out. So I really just got the basics, and he had told me, oh yeah, you'll be able to come back and get your stuff, the rest of your stuff. Don't worry about it. We'll work on it, et cetera, et cetera. That didn't happen. And so finally, about almost a year after I left, he said, okay, on this day, you can come get the rest of your stuff. And I'm like, okay, great. And so I got a big group of friends together. We packed up as much stuff as I could, got as much of my stuff out, but there was still a lot of things he wouldn't allow me to take. I wasn't allowed to go through the attic or the garage or any of the other places that a bunch of my stuff still resides. I've really given up on the idea that I will ever get it back. But what I did is at the time I rented a storage unit for like all my books and things. I just didn't have time to go through because literally both times when I left and then when I went back and got my stuff, I just had friends throwing stuff into boxes and like writing like a couple notes on the box of what it is. I don't know all the things that I have, where they are, any of that. Like every once in a while, I'll be going through a closet or something like, oh, I didn't know I didn't unpack this box. I wonder what's in it. I'm like, oh, there's that thing. Huh, cool. And I don't get me wrong. I'm completely not upset at all with my friends because they were so amazing, so helpful. I'm so grateful to them. But I have the storage unit full of stuff. And originally when I rented it, it was $25 a month. I'm like, no big deal. I can afford that. And every month they keep raising the price. And so a while back, I went to them and I said, this is kind of ridiculous how much you've raised the price. It's now like $75 a month. That's a lot for this. It is literally the worst unit in the whole storage complex. And they even told me that. The guy said to me when he gave it to me, I'm giving you a good deal because this is the worst unit we have and nobody wants it. And I was desperate. And so I was like, yeah, cool, we'll take it. So I went and I talked to them and the gal was like, okay, well, so she dropped it down from $75 to $50 a month. Well, meanwhile, I get my bill and they've now raised it to $100 a month that I'm paying for this horrible storage unit. And so I've been wanting to just get rid of it. I don't need the expense. And honestly, if all of that stuff is sitting in a storage unit, then obviously I don't need it or I'm not using it. So either use it or get rid of it. And part of what has held me up is the first time my lease came up for renewal, I had some friends, they were like, let's rent a house together. We'd all have more space. It will be great. And we can just have this house together. And I was like, great. And at the last minute, one of the roommates just started like pulling some weird crap. And so the house we were trying to get fell through and like all this other stuff kept coming up and we ended up not getting a place together. And I'm really glad because these two people are a hot mess. I don't want to be roommates with them. And then another friend, like as I was like getting used to the idea, okay, I'm just going to live here. Another friend was like, I'm getting divorced. I'm going to need a roommate to help keep my house. Do you want to be my roommate? And I'm like, yes, that would be great. This is a good friend. I really like her. I like her house. She lives in a good location. Perfect. And so her divorce dragged on and on and on and on. And so I never really did anything here. I didn't really get settled. And then about 6 months ago, divorce was final. She made other arrangements and was like, I hate to do this to you. I hope you didn't cancel your lease, but I don't need you to be my roommate anymore. I'm like, you know what? That is cool. I'm perfectly happy where I am. And I really am. At this point, I'm happy where I'm at. I don't have a roommate. I can afford my place without a roommate. It's a nice house. Okay, it's not super nice. We're record heat in Colorado and I have no air conditioning. So not super nice, but I really am pretty happy here other than the lack of AC, but it's manageable. I have a little fan blowing on me. So, and every once in a while I keep thinking, well, my storage unit. And again, I just got this bill for $100 and I am like, screw you. So yesterday I went to the storage unit just to see what I had. And what I decided to do at the beginning of the summer, but then I got busy and then it got super hot here. So it was too hot to do anything, was I was just going to like once a week go through, get a load from my car, sort through it and, repeat and so on and so forth. And now that it's $100 a month, I'm a little more motivated. So I went yesterday, even though it was still 100 degrees out. And I said, let me at least see what I have to work with. And first of all, as I was looking through and counting the boxes, I am pretty sure that I can, if I just get everything out, I have a storage closet off my balcony that I can fit some stuff in. I can unpack some stuff and I can give away some stuff. And I really don't need the storage unit. Like I could empty it now. It would be awkward to live with until I made room for stuff, but whatever. And so then I was thinking, one of my neighbors is in a really bad relationship, needs to get out of the relationship, has no money, their car is broken down. Like it's seriously one bad thing after the other. And I know this person will help me for free, but I thought, okay, I will pay this person $100 to come and do this with me. With two of us doing it, it will take us an afternoon. So I went to my neighbor. I said, hey, do you want to help me? $100. Boom, we can get it done. And so my neighbor's like, yes, please. Oh my God, this is amazing. Thank you. This is an answered prayer. I'm like, see, God works in mysterious ways. And so we're supposed to go this morning. And this morning, my neighbor's like, I don't have it in me, so I can't. And I'm like, okay, cool. And so my neighbor's like, when can we do it? I really do want to help you with this. And I said, just, within the next couple of weeks, because I don't want to pay another $100. So neighbor's like, okay, cool. And so I decided that since I need to make room for all this stuff, and that was just like a seat of my pants decision. And in that one trip that I went by myself to look at it, I took 6 boxes, 3 of which I went through it in the storage units, 3 of which I just drove straight to Goodwill, dropped it off, 3 of which I brought home. So out of those 3 boxes that I brought home, 1 of which I've already sorted through, put stuff away. The other one is just a box of like childhood memorabilia, so that I can just store in my closet until I figure out what the heck one does with all of that stuff. And then the other one is it was knitting stuff. And the plastic bin that I had it in is broken. So I can't really use it. And I have 2 other bins of knitting things in my house now, because I used to be an avid knitter. For those of you who don't know this about me, I've told the story in a couple places, so I apologize if it's a repeat. But I was in a car accident about 10 years ago, and I had a mild concussion. And after that, I forgot how to knit. And I keep trying to remember how to knit, and it just isn't working. And I really do miss it. And so I was like, okay, I have this broken bin, these 2 other bins of knitting things. I went to Walmart, I bought an empty bin, and I thought I'll combine it all into one. And so I've been doing that actually all day today. This is like my current mess that I'm working through. I have like 3 things like this. And I know some of you are like, Danica, why don't you just get rid of that? And I weirdly find it soothing to untangle yarn like that. So I am just untangling this yarn right now as kind of a soothing project. And I'm really feeling pretty happy, because what I ended up doing today, since my neighbor couldn't come today, like I said, I put away the 1 box. I'm combining my knitting things. So now all my knitting stuff is going to be in 1 plastic bin. It's a giant bin. So I didn't think that through very clearly, because there's only going to be 1 spot I can put it and it'll be fine. But I'm like, I should have thought that through. But it is nice to have it all in 1 spot. And then, so now I have these empty bins that I can use to sort or do whatever. I have a big box of stuff to go to Goodwill. I'm organizing my office closet, which has been a nightmare. And it's like, wow, this is so cool. But there's also this hard piece. And even looking at, I used to be a knitter, and I have decided not to get rid of my knitting things, because I really did love knitting, and I would like to get back to that again. But one of the things that I have to acknowledge, and that I think everyone has to think about when they go through a life change, and I was talking to somebody about this in regard to their life, where they're like, I just want to get back to who I used to be. You're never going to be who you used to be. I'm never going to be that Danica who, and I found like my little knitting bags I used to carry around, who carried around her knitting bag, and I like cleaned all those out and threw away a bunch of stuff. I was like, oh, there's that thing, because I carried around like a purse, because it had all my knitting stuff, and I always had a knitting project with me. And there's parts of me that miss that old Danica, but I'm never going to be her again. And so what does new Danica look like? And what does my new relationship to knitting look like? And again, like I said, I have tried to pick it up again and tried to relearn. And the hand-eye coordination is just broken, and I'm not sure what to do with it. But I also think, having talked to a lot of the people in the RIM program, my mentors and my fellow students, that maybe as I develop my skills as a facilitator and also healing in that mental process, maybe I could pick up knitting again. And I would really like to, because I do miss it. I really loved doing it. And so it's kind of like, all right, I will hang on to. Now I have it all in one giant bin. And if for some reason I just get to a place where, I don't want to, I can get rid of it. And it's the same thing with the things that I donated to Goodwill yesterday. Is they were all boxes of books. And as I sorted through them, I really looked at who is this who current Danica is? And the answer is no. Current Danica doesn't like those books anymore, and she will never read those books again. And if she wants to read them again, she could always buy them again. And that is, seriously, I have like 3 or 4 copies of the same book. So, because I do often buy multiple copies of a book. And, if I love that author, I'll just keep buying their stuff. It's fine. And part of letting go was hard, because that was my dream, was to have this beautiful library in my home. And that was a promise my ex-husband made to me. It didn't happen, and that's okay. And the current place that I live in does not have room for a giant library. I've got, my books behind me. I have one bookcase in my living room, and I have a couple little shelves here and there with some books on them. And that's just not who I am anymore. And that's not my life anymore. And someday, will I live in a beautiful home with a beautiful library? Maybe. And if not, that's okay. And so when I look at some of the resistance and the idea of getting rid of certain things or letting go of things, sometimes it is that memory of, but I always dreamed of having a beautiful library. And okay, but can you loosen that hold on that dream and allow it to take place in a different way? And that, to me, is one of the really beautiful things about just loosening that hold on whatever it is. And like I said, even loosening that hold on knitting for me is really fulfilling. Believe it or not, I really, when I was looking at that, saying, I'm not a knitter now. I'm never going to be that person again. But who is this new person going to be? And that's pretty exciting, actually. And like I said, who knows if I will ever knit again? I don't know, but maybe. And I like looking at that in terms of thinking, okay, but as I'm creating all of this space, like even for me to get rid of this $100 a month bill, which used to only be $25, and boom, 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 up. Like to say, wow, now I'm going to have this other $100 a month that I'm not spending, and having that room to breathe and do something different. And so, like I was talking about last week with the resistance, is lean into what you're resisting about it. And part of what I realized of not going to that storage unit and not going through my stuff is part of what I was resisting was facing all of those pieces of who I used to be and all of the things I had to let go of. And some of the bins and things I was sorting through today, it was hard. I came across some of my daughter's old artwork and some of her old pieces of things that she had done. And even in my knitting, there were some knitting projects that I was trying to teach my kids how to knit. And so I have these weird half-done, really messy pieces that my kids and I had tried to do together. And the thing that came to me this week as I was going through all the other hard stuff is, I really recognize that some of the memories are hard and some of them are painful and some of them are beautiful. And with everything that has been taken from me, and even, like I said, there are a lot of things that are mine that are in the house that I will probably never see again. And that's okay. Because even though, one of the items, for example, that my ex wouldn't let me take is this tea set my daughter made for me for Christmas. And I said, but she made it for me. It was a gift. And he said, yeah, but our daughter made it. It's a family thing. It's mine. And even though it was a gift to me, he would not accept. And I was just like, you know what? I can leave that. But here's what I will always have that he can't take away from me is this beautiful memory of my daughter took the time to make me a tea set. And that's pretty awesome and pretty beautiful. And that's a memory I'm always going to have. No one's going to take that from me. And I get to treasure that in my heart. And I get to choose what things I treasure and what things I let go of and why I'm choosing to treasure it. And so even some of the books that I let go of, I'm like, oh, that author's a friend of mine. And I'm like, but do I need to hold on to this person's book just because they're my friend? And my answer to that was actually no, which was weird because, I mean, I treasure my friendships, but I mean, I have hundreds of author friends. And so can I have every single one of their books? That used to be a goal of mine. And now I know that they know I'm their friend. They know I love them. I don't have to keep all their books. And I mean, I still do have some treasured ones. I mean, I know you can't see fully behind me, like these 2 shelves, those are all my books, for the 3, but then on the very bottom shelf are like my very, very special friend books. And so those I will keep. And the other thing that I've done is I have a bunch of books that were signed to me, and I've taken out the signature page, and I'm going to put them all into a scrapbook. And then the book itself can just go and bless somebody else, and somebody else can learn and read and discover that book that I loved and that my friend wrote. And I like to think that maybe they'll get a new reader out of that. So it's all about changing your perspective and understanding if and when you're ready to do something or how that all comes about. And maybe I wasn't ready until now to start to clear out the storage unit, but I am. And now I'm getting my house ready to bring in all this additional stuff and purge more stuff. And it feels really nice and really fulfilling. And one of the things that I'm learning, particularly through the REM process, is to just be patient with that and be patient with whatever you're going through and whatever you're resisting and thinking, I'm not ready to do that. Well, that's okay. If you're not ready, you're not ready. The more you fight that piece of your nervous system that said, and said, do it, do it, do it, do it, the more you're just going to keep resisting and the harder it's going to be to do. But if you just relax and say, it'll happen when it happens, it does. It's like the stories. How many people do you know? I know a lot where they're trying and trying and trying to get pregnant. And the second they stop trying, they get pregnant. And I know it doesn't work out like that for everybody. And I know not everyone gets to have that beautiful thing happen in their life. And I do want to acknowledge that. But I think about everything I've worked really hard for. And it's always the minute I stop pushing is when the beautiful thing happens. And when I receive something really lovely and really wonderful. And so whatever someone is telling you, oh, just push harder, just push harder, I would encourage you to do the opposite. If you've got this push harder thing coming at you, stop. Just be like, nope, I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to relax. I'm going to sit back and allow whatever is going to happen. And I'm going to make space for what really does want to come in and what blessing is going to be on the other side of that. And you can't, we only have so much space within us. We only have so much space within our homes. And so sometimes you have to let go of something before you allow something, before that other thing that you want is going to come in. And so for me, as I'm looking at what is next for me, and that is, I would eventually like to have my own home again someday and not be in a condo apartment thing with all these neighbors on top of me and loud people all around me, and just have that peaceful place and have a yard and all of those things. Well, I don't know how that's going to happen, and I don't know when that's going to happen, but I'm choosing to make my house a home now, and I'm choosing to live my life and do everything in a way that honors who I am now and who I want to become and who I have been, and like melding all of that into just this beautiful kaleidoscope and like mosaic of all that is me so that I can really enjoy my life. And I think about the people who work hard and work hard and work hard for someday. And someday doesn't always happen. And I think a lot about my neighbor who passed away still. I still think about her and all the people who said, oh yeah, someday we'll talk to her. Someday we'll do this with her. I mean, I even had that someday of I was planning this nice dinner I was going to do for her. And someday didn't come. And so don't waste your life waiting for that someday because you don't know. And like really take stock of what is important to you and why is that important? And what are you going to do to enjoy what you have now? And how can you support the life that you have now? And maybe you are working towards a big thing that you don't know how you're going to get there. Like I said, I have no idea how I'm going to end up getting a house, and I don't care. That isn't for me to know right now. What is for me to know is how am I honoring the life that I have right now? And so, yeah, it's just been an interesting few days because, as I mentioned, it was a really horrible week. Just very hard. And then Thursday, I did a RIM session with my mentor and another student. We meet once a week. And, you know, all of these sessions are about growing and practicing our skills. And we were just exhausted. And she knew that. And our mentor was like, okay, so we're going to play a game. And we did. And she turned our learning into something fun. And we still facilitated our sessions and still did the work that we needed to do. And so the session that was done on me, the intention was just to have a fun session. And it ended up going really deep. And it was so deep and so healing. And what I really love about that and why I was able to do the deep work is like all week I had been kind of like, I don't want to do this deep, hard thing because I just am tired and I'm not ready. And I don't want to even, like, I've been in this deep place for the past 8 months and I'm exhausted. And what was really great is once I let go and said, you know what, I don't care about going to that deep place. I'm just going to have fun. I'm just going to enjoy. We accidentally went super deep. It was just amazing because as soon as my nervous system was able to calm down and say, oh yeah, I can rest. Oh, hey, you know, here's this really hard thing that I've been dealing with and thinking about that's been on your mind, but not really, that's just been eating at you. Like, let's talk about that. And so we did. And we had this beautiful session and we worked through it and it was great. And then that night, I had a really, really rough night because I ended up eating something by accident that I'm allergic to. So I was up all night with a really bad allergy attack. And I ended up doing a RIM session on myself and looking at all of the different parts of me and all the different places where I had been told my whole life that there was something wrong with me. And in that session that I did on myself, I was like, there's nothing wrong with you. And so I got to talk to each of those pieces of me at different ages and tell it, there's nothing wrong with you. I tell her, there's nothing wrong with you. You are perfect exactly as you are. And it ended up being really beautiful and really healing. And then my allergy attack subsided and I got a few hours of sleep. And then the next day was a meeting with my mentor in which I was supposed to do a deep session. And I told her, I said, you know, here's what happened like yesterday, last night, today. I'm feeling really good. And I'm really sitting in this idea of my innate wholeness. And that's one of the things that we're learning as facilitators and in the work that we do and in the work that we do with our clients is everybody is inherently whole. Every single human being, no matter who you are, how messed up you think you are, there is an innate wholeness deep within you that is there. And you just have to uncover it. You just have to find it and lean into it and love it. And that is what I did in that middle of the night allergy nightmare where I did a session on myself. And so the next day I'm sitting with my mentor and I said, like, here's where I'm at. And I just want to sit in this knowing that I'm innately whole. And so she said, okay, let's do it. And so we did this session around that idea. And because I was coming at it from this really beautiful, empowered state, we actually went really super deep. Again, completely unexpected. It was this beautiful, wonderful session. And I came out of it just feeling great. And I ended up that night, I had a really lovely evening. I was able to help support a friend who was grieving and going through some really hard stuff. So I went and helped my friend. And then the next day I had a breathwork class. And again, like, it's always about, oh, what are we going to work on? And I went into it. I was like, you know what? I'm not working on anything. I'm just going to go in and lean into this deep, innate wholeness of myself and just embrace it and love it and take all these things that I've learned and realized and just lean into that. And so that's what I did in this whole thing. And it was really beautiful. It was really empowering. And I've been going to these breathwork classes for the past couple of years. And I love the facilitator is a good friend. And it was one of the most powerful sessions I've ever done. And I didn't heal anything. I just tapped into me and gave myself the love and the wholeness that is already there and acknowledged that. And so all the stuff that I've been resisting, it just wasn't there anymore. It was just like, oh, look, here I am. Let me just love myself. And again, yesterday was a beautiful day. One of the things that I did, I meant to bring, but I forgot, is I went out and I have this baby photo of myself. So I went and I bought a beautiful frame for it. And so I framed this beautiful baby photo of myself that I now have here at my house. And that's when I felt that empowerment to go clean out my storage unit, even though it was 100 degrees. And that's my excuse. It's 100 degrees. I'm not doing it in 100-degree weather. I went and I did it. And I found that it was going to be an easier task than I thought it would be. And it wasn't because I sat there shaming myself and forcing myself into it. It was because I allowed all these other pieces of me to heal. And once those pieces of me found that healing and found that empowerment, this other task that has been weighing on me forever, it just suddenly was like, hey, I'm out running errands. I'm going to swing by the storage unit and start taking care of this. And it wasn't a hard thing at all. It was super easy. And now I have a plan. And that's the long way of getting to where you're facing resistance. If you just honor it and you acknowledge it and say, hey, yeah, I'm resisting this thing and I'm not going to deal with it right now. I acknowledge it. I know it's here and I'm going to work on the things where I'm not facing resistance. And what ends up happening is, like, for me, working through all this other stuff, suddenly I had the capacity to go and do this hard thing that I have been resisting. And I'm super excited. It's going to save me money. I'm finally going to have all my stuff that I have access to with me. And that's a beautiful thing. And so what I hope this is doing for all of you is just giving you permission that if you're resisting something in your life and you're like, this is really hard and I don't want to deal with it, maybe don't. Maybe just say to yourself, hey, part of me, whatever part of me is resisting this, I see you and I honor you. And I'm going to figure this out with you. And if you don't want me to push, I'm not going to push anymore. Because when you push, it just pushes back. And when you let up and give it space, it's going to let up and also bring spaciousness. And so if you're like, hey, yeah, I would like help making that spaciousness with my resistance, let me know. As I have been mentioning in these videos, I do have to work with some practice clients. I'm doing it for free, but because I have to have so many sessions done in order to get my to complete my program. But I'm very happy to work with you because I know that this is really powerful stuff. And I know that the things in my life have just gotten so much better and are so much more beautiful because I'm looking at these things that I'm resisting, and I'm having compassion for the pieces of me that are resisting, for me, and even for others. It's been really nice as I've seen some of the resistance coming up in other people. Like my neighbor is going through a really tough time and can really use that money. And I know that the reason they couldn't come help me today was just their own resistance and their own fear. And having compassion for that and being like, my neighbor's not ready, and that's okay. I have all this other stuff I need to do anyway. And when I'm ready to go back to the storage unit, if my neighbor can come, great. If my neighbor can't, also great. I don't have any attachment to it. And I think back to all the hard times that I had, and people would try to help me, but it was always pushing me and pushing against my resistance. And that made it harder. And so now I can look at other people where they're having their resistance and have more compassion and recognize that, yeah, this is a great thing for this person, but if they're not ready to move forward, nothing I do is going to be able to help them. And so I can just be patient and love them through that and be available and ready to help them when it's time. And so that's just, I guess, the last piece of this is, when you're encountering someone and you see that resistance, rather than pushing back and like, no, you must do it, like really get curious. Like, why are they resisting that? What's really going on? What are they afraid of? What's actually blocking them? And is there a way that you can lovingly support them in a way that doesn't look like pushing them towards an outcome, but just loosely holding them and holding space for them to say, yeah, I see you. I see you're resisting this, and it's okay. You don't have to do anything. You can just be where you're at, and I can be here and love you and care for you exactly where you are. So I hope you have a great Sunday. Like I said, I am going to get back to this fun little project. It's so weird that I enjoy this, but I do. I also probably need to put my house back together. What you can't see, obviously my office looks normal from this angle. If you were looking out the other direction, there's all kinds of weird piles and stuff that I have to reorganize and put together and put away. And then my living room currently looks like a bomb went off in a yarn store, which is kind of cool, but probably not the best. So thank you all for being here today. I'm going to go finish my little project, and I hope whatever Sunday project is still out there for you, that you're able to do it, enjoy it, and have a really wonderful day. And whatever you do, find something to go do and be kind to yourself, because you are worthy of your own kindness and your own compassion.